A very good evening to one and all present, and welcome to a brand new episode of VUTV by Vijay Bhumi. This is another weekly series that is very, very close to our hearts that we call Express Routine, where we get episodes to you every Friday at 5 p.m. So, why this series is very close to our heart? Because it's very unique and one of its kind, where we get students to air and voice their opinions about contemporary topics and things that are happening around them. Today, we are discussing a rather important topic. Everybody has been talking about patriotism, nationalism. We have been having news articles that are, occupying pages and spaces in our daily newspapers on the topic of nationalism and patriotism. So it's important for us to understand firstly what is the difference between these two words. Do they mean the same? If they don't mean the same, then what is the difference that there exists between when you talk about somebody being a nationalist and when you talk about somebody being a patriot? What is the youth's understanding of these concepts? What value does patriotism hold in the minds of the youth today? Are we as an older generation doing a good job in creating a new generation of patriots? Are we doing a very good job at sensitizing them to our country, to the rich heritage, to the rich culture our country possesses, to just how unique our country is? So we're going to be talking about this and a lot more with this wonderful panel of students that has joined me today. So make sure that you're asking me a lot of questions. My audience members, you've been joining me on a week-to-week basis. It is your engagement with us that keeps us motivated to curate content with you for you on a weekly basis. So make sure you ask us a lot of questions because I would love to pose the same to my panelists who are joining me today. So I have a very bright panel joining me today from the Army Public School, Barrackpore. And I must say, it is always such a privilege for me to be on an all-women's panel. Like it really, just brightens up my day and it fills my heart with joy that, I'm on an all-women's panel and I have these lovely 4 young students who I'm going to be, I'm going to be picking the brain on this particular topic with. So joining me today, the 4 students that I have from the Army Public School, Barrackpore, I have Miss Anusua Basu, I have Miss Arish Srinag, I have Miss Katha Chakrabarti, and I have Miss Riyush Maiti who's joining me. I would first also like to extend my gratitude to the school, to the coordinator for helping us getting in touch with the students and for putting together this episode for us. We're deeply indebted and grateful to the school for the same and the coordinator for the same. So without further ado, let us begin this particular session. I am sure my panelists are very excited to be, grilled on this topic, and I'm sure they have a lot to say on this particular topic. So let's start first. Let's first dissect and understand what is the difference between nationalism and what does patriotism mean? Does it mean the same thing, or are they 2 different values and virtues? And if they're different, then what is that particular difference? So if we can first start with Riyash.
Hello, everyone. Personally speaking, I would like to associate one word each to nationalism and patriotism. When I first learned about the very basic and conventional concept of nationalism, the word that immediately struck to my mind was arrogance, while responsibility is what I personally identify with patriotism. I believe that while nationalism and patriotism are synonymous in the dictionary of many of the common people, it's the attitude that they showcase towards some of the important and intricate issues that concerns our society and our nation today ultimately differentiates between the 2 terms.
Thank you so much, Riyash. If I may now invite my other panelists, anybody would like to add to that definition or probably give us a different point of view on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Arishri, I believe you want to say something over.
Yes, ma'am. A few days back, like a few months back too, I didn't know the difference between nationalism and patriotism myself. So I went on Google and I typed nationalism. And the first thing that came up was, of course, Wikipedia. And I clicked on that, and Wikipedia told me, do not get it confused with national patriotism in the definition of nationalism. And then I understood how grave the situation was and how much we confuse the 2 notions when in actual they are a lot different. So I believe with more and more students coming into the political arena, getting interested in it, I really believe that it is very important to get the notions clear in their mind. To me, nationalism is love and devotion to one's patriotism is love and devotion to one's country for whatever it does, to be proud on it. And nationalism means to be proud of the country no matter what it does, to hold it at the like epitome of everything, to consider it the best over other countries, to not take criticism about it, to shun the opinions of others who criticize, which is not wrong because there's always a room of improvement for any country, no matter whatever it is, no matter how high its economic growth is or social growth is. There's always room for improvement. So that is what I feel.
Absolutely, Arishri, you're absolutely right there that patriotism is where we appreciate our country for the goods that it has, the advantages it has, or any sort of positive quality. But nationalism, on the other hand, borders on an aspect where, irrespective of whether it is right or wrong, we still, believe that, nothing can be better than this, right? Whatever is being done by our country, like if we talk in terms of a matter of policy, it might be a policy which has negative ramifications, but if it's if you subscribe to the notion of nationalism without even questioning the rationality of it, you would say that no, because it has been passed by the country or the country believes in it, then it's good. Correct. So now that we've dissected the definition, I think it's very important to understand that what virtue is important to students and what is it that we need to sensitize to students, either as parents or in schools, when you have educators, what is the quality that must be inculcated in them, right? So can we have Katha? What do you think? Which is the quality that students need to inculcate need to inculcate at a younger age? What would you prefer, patriotism or nationalism?
I think that both are actually parallel. If we, as a student, we need both of them, nationalism and patriotism. But I believe that to inculcate patriotism and nationalism, the environment we need, the first thing we need to create is the environment, and everything starts from home, I believe. So I think that if we can focus on the mother tongue, because we always speak in language, and language is just a method to express our feelings. So if we can focus on the mother tongue, know more about it, or we can know more about the people who wrote literature in the mother tongue. So I believe that if we are focusing on the mother tongue, if we are knowing about it, if we are knowing that what are the facts in the mother tongue, and a lot more about it, then we can be more influenced towards our motherland. And secondly, I believe that we always learn about nationalist movement in our books and academics. We learn the dates, but I believe that what is more important is we need to take it as a part of our life. We have learned about Mahatma Gandhi, we have learned about Bhagat Singh, their sacrifices. We have to feel their sacrifices. Then only I think that the love for the motherland will be inculcated within ourselves as a student. So yeah.
That's a very good point. Cultural sensitization. That is a very good initiation into actually appreciating the rich heritage and culture of the country. And that's a very good point. Sometimes what happens is that as parents, we get so consumed in the fact that we quickly need to get the child to learn English and to start reading English books, that we forget the fact that it's also important for the child to know the mother tongue. Okay, so one part of it, obviously, the reason why you want that is because if the child knows the mother tongue, there's so much of rich heritage that comes with our languages, our culture, that the child would be sensitized to. Second, I think, which is something that we talked about enough, is that children who know the mother tongue are very easily able to converse with the older generation. And a lot of the cultural exchange that will happen is actually, from your grandparents and from the older generation. They also are at a bit of loss, if the child only converses in English, because they may not be very comfortable conversing in English. So it really cuts that sort of cord where, they could actually get to know more about the rich heritage they come from. So I think that's a very valid point that you have made there. Anusya, what about you? What do you think that what is more important to inculcate in students, patriotism or nationalism?
Ma'am, for me, I also think the same. Both are equally important because they move parallel to each other. Like patriotism, here what happens here, we blindly follow the leaders. the leaders, the heroes, which we think that those who are fighting for the country. And in case of nationalism, we always think that it is of securing more and more power. But if we see the time when we didn't get independence, that time patriotism was very much relevant and widespread among the people. But since power was not there for that, there are so many implementations, and we lagged behind so much in getting independence because we didn't have the power. We didn't secure power. We always went for seeing patriotism, that following the leaders blindly, but not securing power. So both the things are equally important, because I feel that from my perspective that if we have power, we can incorporate certain things which we think that which may other restrict us, but if we have the power, we can incorporate those things and we can move on to the particular line. So India would have got independence much more fast, but it didn't get that, because for the thing that people always think that nationalism we will not do, because it will create violence, it will create more battles among the people, their brotherhood, everything will get washed. For that only the people act there. So I think that both the things are important, and both the things must be inculcated among the students and among everyone.
Correct. So you strongly believe that's fair, that, like, you should create a balance between the two. And this negative connotation sometimes that is attached to nationalism, that also needs to be approached again. And we need to first see that maybe it's not, there's nothing wrong in the virtue, but the way we are interpreting the virtue, that is something I think that's misplaced here, or the kind of acts that are being committed in the name of nationalism. That is what is giving a very negative connotation to this word. That's a very well taken point. Let's come to our next question, right? So this is something that Katha mentioned, in her response to the previous question. How can we create an environment for students to feel connected to the motherland? Because I feel that with this generation, reason prevails over everything else. You all need to be convinced. You need to be convinced that, why we need to believe in a particular thing. This is not the generation where you can just say that, okay, do X and they will blindly do X, because of the kind of access to information that your generation has. It's really changed the way your outlook is, and you're only willing to adopt things when you're able to see the merit in it. So which means that if today, we want this generation, we want to create a new generation of patriots, we have to create an environment where they can feel connected to the motherland, the rich heritage that we have, the rich history that we have of the freedom struggle, etc. So how do we create that environment? What is an environment that will be favorable, where the youth will be willing to probably explore this area more and sort of, imbibe this, in their DNA as well? So Arishri, if we'll start with you.
Yeah, ma'am. So for me, I think, as Kotha said, it will always start from our home. So family, the parents, the guardians need to look after this from the very elementary stage. We can go out for just for a fun movie night about some documentaries about our history and historical documentaries, look at our heritage and traditions, all that. And then also a very important fact that all the achievements India makes in the field of science, space, sports, etc., it is always, the media does not highlight it as much as it should be. So the young students and do not get to be in touch with it. They do not actually feel proud about it because they don't get much exposure. So as a parent, as a guardian, we need to keep talking about it, tell them about what is happening, what achievements we have made, so that the pride can come from within the student themselves. That is what I think would be a good environment for the student.
I think that's a good point. I think for anything, any change that we want to make, I think it's important to keep the dialogue open. To keep, giving like, talk at home, to make it a point that you talk about, what are the big achievements that have happened. Like, for example, even like in the current achievements, right? So last year, recently, we had somebody who was inducted in the Royal Society. And this is the first time that somebody was inducted in the Royal Society. So, to discuss things like this, this obviously will add more pride to the youth, to feel that, okay, I'm part of this country where, people are doing these amazing things. So I definitely think dialogue is very key to this. Riyesh, what do you think? What kind of an environment would be suitable for the youth to feel very connected to, national pride?
The best way in which I believe the students can feel connected to their motherland is not without forcing our own ideas, is to not only theoretically talk about a shared history, but to also practically encourage them to preach their own culture, their own language and religion. As we have previously discussed, thanks to Katha, that language is a weapon by which we express ourselves, by which our thoughts and our ideas are our own. In the addition to that, I feel like freedom of choice also makes a very major play here, because as we have said, we are not a generation that readily accepts anything. We like to question it. We like to put forward doubts regarding it. We like to clear things up so that generations that are to come by do not blindly follow something which might harm them, maybe in the present or in the future. Upon it, I'll also like to say that I do not believe that a connection to your motherland is maintained by following something that our ancestors did. I feel like we can have our own way of showing our love and devotion to our country. It might be orthodox, it might be modern, but it does not mean that we can shame the other side for doing something that is not conventional in our way. And that's
That's
it.
a very good point, Riyesh. I think, everybody's connection, in any aspect is very unique. Everybody needs to find, their own chord that, strikes a chord with them. So, for example, I like to believe that I'm somebody who's very interested in feminism. All right. So what connected me to India and what connected me to the motherland was the fact that when I was reading about the freedom struggle, I saw what a prominent role all these women had to play. When I picked up history, and I saw that some we've not had too many of them, but whatever women rulers we've had in India, they've left such a huge mark. Like recently, I remember I was reading this book by Chitra Banerjee, and she's written on the last the youngest wife of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and what an inspirational character. Like, I felt so proud that I come from a country where women back then played such a prominent role in politics, and they took everything head on, bang on. So I mean, I totally agree with you that I think you have to let people, you expose them to everything, like various facets, and let them kind of figure out what part of it do they feel connected to. I think we need to let the youth explore rather than try to drill down our notions of various things.
I would like to add another thing. We have always talked about how we can all come together in a moment of proudness for our own country. For example, He She Day did something like this, for which I feel very proud about, because I belong in the same country as them. But I also think it's very necessary that we all come together and share our thoughts and feelings if we are facing a common struggle. I think it's not only important that we feel proud about the positive moments, but we also take responsibility about the negative imperfections that our country is facing. We have to be together, huddled in a group when we are facing a national calamity, be it a social one, a political one, an economic one. We can all have our differences, but if we are to remain together, if we are to remain as a particular group and continue on for a bright future, I think the most important thing is respecting differences and still coming together to achieve a desired goal.
I think that's a point very well made. I think it's really not only about being together in the happy times or, celebrating the achievements, but it's also about brotherhood, is also about being there for each other when times are not so great. And I think a great example for that was, somebody like, like the pandemic, somebody may not be the most vocal patriot that you might see. But the fact that during the pandemic, you had an entire migrant labor, situation, exodus that was happening, so many people came out to help everybody. I think that's also a great sign of, that feeling of brotherhood. And there is, a feeling of, belonging and collective responsibility that one could see. And I think that is also, in a way, if you see it in a positive way, that is also reflecting behavior of patriotism and nationalism, the feeling that you want to go above and beyond to make, other citizens feel comfortable as well. So I totally agree. That's a very good point that you made there, Yash. That brings me to the other question, and I think this was one of the questions that I was very keen to hear about from the youth, which is that what value does patriotism hold for today's youth? I mean, things have diametrically changed over generations. Like if I talk about the generation above me, for them it was always, roti, kapda, makan. That was the philosophy of life, that, if you have that figured, you've made it. I talk about my generation today. All of us are talking about job satisfaction. Money is not that important. Everybody's talking about what they want to do, something that creates impact. That is the I think the more prominent feeling that that is driving our generation. So I want to know from you guys that for your generation, what value does patriotism hold? Katha, if we can start with you.
So patriotism is holding a lot of values, I believe. First of all, as being a citizen of a nation, it is giving us a worth to be a part of it, and means it is giving us a self identity to be a part of the nation. It is giving us the responsibility. It is showing us that how we can do the sacrifices for the nation. That value it is teaching us, and it is teaching us the willingness, the morality of a nation. And I believe that patriotism and nationalism both are actually required, because if I say, then nationalism is also holding a value. The biggest value of nationalism is unity, and unity, culture, language. And patriotism is holding a value, like it is holding a value of belief. Means whatever we can see, the nationalist struggles, whatever India is now, because of patriotism. So the value of patriotism is pertaining is the value of love and devotion for the nation.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's so important, right? If you think about it, patriotism is so important because at the end of the day, you need to feel something. Like even if you talk about at a macro level, right? Even at a family, you need to feel that sense of belonging. Correct. So, you need to feel that sense of belonging when you come from a country. So it's really important for you to have that. Otherwise, there will always be questions related to your identity that will always linger and exist in your mind. Anusya, over to you. What do you think? You agree with what Katha said? What is your view on it?
Yes, ma'am. I also feel the same, that responsibility is very important, because of late we can see the young generations, they fear to take responsibilities. And patriotism is all about taking responsibility of motherland, which is very huge. So I think that these values must be inculcated even by the parents from the home inside, because charity begins at home. So these responsibilities very important. Patriotism teaches us to take responsibility and also taking pride, rise in pride for the nations. That I am proud to be Indian. I am proud for my country, which is very important. And also, ma'am, it also shows that how that we are devoted to our country, or how we are playing role, being loyal to our country, which is very important. Because in near future, if any disaster or if anything happens, so that we can stay together, because unity is the strength. And if we are falling apart, then we are no one.
Wonderful.
I feel this now.
Wonderful. You're absolutely right, Anusya. Now, I'd like to know from all of you. All of you go to.
Ma'am, can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Ashi. Go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. With everyone nowadays has some opinion that they share, and it's very easy nowadays. Everyone has social media, Twitter. They can write anything that they want, and so I believe that nationalism itself, I think, at some point of time is exclusionary. Either you are with us or you're against us versus. So patriotism, I think, is something that teaches us to take all the opinions and criticisms that they give, accept it. So for the youth today, it is very important to be tolerant and to accept constructive criticism from others too. You cannot just shun their opinions just because they're against you. You need to listen to them, understand and everything. And in a country like India, where there is such a variety of cultures, traditions, thoughts, and everything, it is very important that you're tolerant and you're able to handle criticism and take in the constructive criticism to better yourself. Because then it will again create a situation which is not very nice. It will again create divisions. It will again create sides, and it will again blow out into a bigger argument and a bigger issue.
I think, Arshi, that's a very good point that you've made. Leash, you want to say something?
I just want to add that I don't necessarily think that differences are something upon which we divide. Differences are important to be there for us to be unique and diverse in our own thoughts. But it's the issue arises when you start to discriminate somebody on the basis of that differentiation. And I believe that's where we stand. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not have the same opinions as someone. It's okay to have a different outlook of a particular topic. But it's when we try to start to shame them for that particular opinion, when we start to discriminate them for that for having different thoughts, is where the problem arises. And I just wanted to add that, because having differences is not a bad thing. It makes you stand out. It gives you confidence, because those thoughts are your own, and they're unique to you. They mean something to you. And I feel like that gives us a power that none of us can influence. And none of that because at the end of the day, you are your own person. You have your own capabilities, and you have to stand out. And I just wanted to add that.
No,
Thank
I
you
think
so much.
that's a very good point, Yash, because in any democracy, it's important to have different and diverse opinions, right? And there has to be a place for everything. And I think that connects really well with what Arishri was saying. That nowadays, what has happened is that we have become less tolerant. With also getting access to multiple platforms, where we can all voice our opinions. Instead of having healthy conversations, a lot of the conversations are turning very toxic. A lot of it is becoming very exclusionary, right? If somebody says something which does not reflect majority opinion, I mean, the trolling just takes it to the next level, right? I mean, we all see that happens in front of us. We all see what happens on Twitter. We all see what happens on other social media platforms. So that really shows that we're becoming intolerant also as a country. And I think that's where we need to realize that, just because something is not a popular opinion, that doesn't mean that, in the name of nationalism or being a patriot, you are unwilling to accept it. I mean, we have to take pride in the fact that we are one of the largest democracies in the world. We are the largest democracy in the world. And one of the tenets of democracy is that, giving place for public opinion. Public opinion may not necessarily, every person's opinion may not necessarily be reflective of the majority opinion, and we should be accommodating to that. We should be willing to have conversations with them, dialogues with them, and even if nobody agrees, it's absolutely fine. We can all healthily coexist. That's the kind of fabric that our country has always taken pride in having. So yes, I definitely think that this is important, that when at homes or in schools, when we're talking about these topics, it's also important to talk about, you know also sensitizing students to the kind of values that our country stands for. Our country is one of the most tolerant countries in the world. Look at our constitution. We are so diverse. We accommodate diversity. So even as people, that is the kind of outlook which we should reflect. Why are we forgetting that and all of it? So I think that's a very good point that you've made. Now, this I think would very well lead me into the last question, and I think this is one of the important questions that I think I would like you all to respond to. That somewhere, because of this negative connotation being added to this word nationalism, do you think it's now becoming a this is becoming a deterrent for the for the youth to actually become patriots in some way? So I'd like to actually hear from you guys what you feel about it when you discuss with your peers, because yes, there is a negative connotation that you see that is now being attached to the word nationalism, because a lot of the misinterpretation that is happening, is that actually now a deterrent for the youth to feel very strongly about the country? Can we start with you, Kapil?
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree with the statement because I think, according to me, nationalism or patriotism is something which is the love and devotion for the nation, and I don't think it is related to any party. Or I would totally say that we can see in world politics or in many countries that what is actually happening. The term nationalism is meant to be loved, and they have taken a shape in which I would say that it's actually not nationalism. It is actually a aggressive nationalism, I would better say it. So it's actually not taking the shape of it, and due to that reason, the economy is deteriorating. Due to that reason, the democracy is deteriorating, and those who are against it, they are mainly called as anti-national. But it is the fact that they are not against the policy. They are not against the policies or the ideologies of nationalism. They are against the policies of the party, and nationalism is actually not related to it. So I really do think that it is actually causing a communal hatred about it. So I literally think that nationalism is something which is the love, the devotion for a country, the sacrifice for a country. So I don't think that it has any relationship with any political party or something like that. So as being a youth generation, we are a adult youth, so we know, we can see everything, we also have a perspective, so we can see very well. So I think that this way of nationalism is portraying a bad effect of patriotism, or it is imposing a bad impact about patriotism. So I think that it is actually a deterrent for the youth generation to be called a patriot.
So that's very beautifully put, Katha. Thank you so much for responding to that. Anusya, do you agree with it? Would you like to add something to that response?
Yes, ma'am. I also believe the same because both are not nationalism will not play a deterrence to patriotism. Now it is the people perceptions that how they are perceiving the particular thing. Some people want to use these terms together, nationalist and patriotism, these two terms together, while sensitizing the people around them. And others say that it's a negative thing, that it will act as a deterrent. People will not become patriots. So it is completely wrong, because as I said earlier also that these two things move parallel to each other. Without one, the other cannot walk. So I think that it is completely a wrong notion, those who are perceiving it. So both the things must be practiced together.
Fantastic. Any parting comments, Arishri and Riyash?
Ma'am, again, with what we as now in the recent days, what we associate with nationalism, it is often not glorified. It's often seen as bad and toxic. But I mean, and young students often get this perception and adapt this ideology, not the real one or the virtuous one, so, which is wrong. And I have seen many of my peers who wanted to suggest some, were not happy with some policies that our country made, or were unhappy with some things, and some others call them ungrateful for what their country has given. It's not about being ungrateful, it's about how to improve it so that the next generations can live better than us, and on how we are living. So, and I have seen because of this backlash, once they refuse to put their opinions once again, or be show their love and devotion openly once again. So this is very wrong nowadays that we see that we talked about this, about the trolling issue and all. I have seen many of my peers get trolled about this, and they're not speaking up again about this because they simply don't want to get the backlash. So in this way, it is again becoming a deterrent for people to showcase their love and devotion.
I think that's
I would like.
Yeah, go ahead, Riyash. Over to you.
Yeah, I'd like to second Arishri on that. So I'm 16 and I can't vote, obviously. So the most I can do is go on social media, maybe spread some information about what I have on a particular topic, share my opinions. But rather than getting meaningful and fruitful, even if it's opposing to my own views, rather than getting fruitful replies and answers, I get trolled. I get body shamed. I might get slut shamed. I will get people will hurl abuses at me. These self-claimed nationalists, I believe, bring more bad reputation to our country than I will do at expressing my own opinion. Is what I believe of the situation. So to a certain extent, yes, nationalists like often come in the way for patriots to do actual work and improvement for a nation, because they immediately want to shut down the conversation. If we don't have conversation, we won't know what's the truth and what's the false part. If we won't have a conversation, if we won't have a deliberation, then we won't get to know the struggles of each and every people around us. Because at the end of the day, we cannot survive if our own people don't support us. We might all talk about, and okay, I don't need to feel belong in our own society. I can do what I wish to do. I'll just mind my own business. But that's not always the work. Deep inside us, I believe everyone wants to feel belong in the society, where our problems are heard, where our opinions are appreciated, and where we can just talk about issues that are maybe integral to me. For example, women's issues, feminism issues, because I am a woman and I might not feel safe, so I want to talk about it. I don't want to get immediately shut down and be heard abuses at. And in the same way, as I said, that nationalists have a very rigid opinion. They believe that their nation is perfect and that their own people, which is where the problem starts, when they start to define their own people, are always in the right. You won't know what's right if you don't get into a conversation with the other side. I don't believe that there's a particular truth or a false. It's only through debate and deliberation that we can get to know about what should be done, where both the sides can feel comfortable and can agree on. As long as there's not a mutual agreement, there will be fights, there will be riots, there will be instability. And no country can live happily and securely in a society that's not stable, where they don't feel safe. And as Ayushi said, we are not ungrateful. We just want to take responsibility because we're not ashamed to admit that, yes, this is a crime that happens in my country and I want to take responsibility. I don't want my future generation to feel unsafe. I don't want the future females to feel as if they are in the wrong, because right now victim shaming is literally a popular trend for even for our leaders. And as I said, I'm 16, I can't vote. So the best I can do is go on social media, show my support, have my opinions out there because I have the right to. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have an opinion because I'm a woman, I'm misinformed. If I'm misinformed, then yes, I'm ready to accept my mistakes. I'm ready to be corrected. It might happen. There's a lot of propaganda and fake news around. It might happen that I was wrongly informed. But I don't want to be heard abuses at just because I'm a woman and I decided to have an opinion on social media. And you are the one who's bringing the bad reputation if your nation, if you're treating another citizen of your country like that.
Yeah. No, I
That's it.
think that's very fantastically put, Viyash, and I think all of us echo your sentiment totally. I think this is really a wonderful conversation that I've had with all four of you. And see, this is really the idea that, we want to discuss all these burning topics with all of you to also, like, firstly, give you guys a platform to air your opinions. And secondly, also for this to act as a mirror that we hold so many misconceptions about the youth. See, today a lot of us hold this misconception: the older generation, the youth's not interested in what's happening in the country, the tradition of the country, the heritage of the country, blah, 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 etc. But that's not true, right? Clearly, everybody is very interested. But all that they are saying is what they are not okay with is that they don't want anything to be imposed. But they are not saying that don't expose us. They're not saying don't talk to us about it. They're just saying that don't dictate anything on us. And that's the message that I think as educators and parents we need to go back with. But we at least have to fulfill the duty of making sure that we are exposing them to the various facets that our country has. And after that, give them a chance to develop their own opinion. And whatever opinion it is, we should learn to respect it, right? Because as a country, this is what let's not forget the original values we started with. We are respectful towards different communities, different castes, different religions, different kinds of people. And that's what we need to remember. We need to be respectful towards others' opinion. If that's the opinion they carry, sure, we can reason out with them, we can ask them why, but let's not try to impose our opinion on them. And I think that's the message that we should all go back with. I would like to thank all four of you for taking out the time and very beautifully articulating your responses to us. I think it's really been such a delight chatting with all four of you. Again, I would like to thank your school for arranging this for us. I'm really grateful to your coordinator for making this happen for us and your principal. I would also like to thank my audience members for joining us today. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying these conversations that we are having. We are looking forward to receiving your feedback. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you again on next Friday at 5 p.m., where we'll be discussing another burning topic with another set of students. Till then, stay safe, everybody. Take care. Bye.